He had no friends, only her black cat, until she learned he was a vampire at midnight. Elara lived at the edge of the village, in a small house that leaned like it was too tired to stand. Its roof sagged, the windows were always foggy, and the garden was overgrown with weeds. Villagers whispered when they passed by, calling her strange and lonely. No child wanted to play with her. No neighbor invited her to gatherings. She had no friends, no one to share laughter or secrets. But she had Nyx, her black cat. Nyx was more than a pet. His green eyes seemed to see everything, and sometimes, when Elara spoke, he would tilt his head, listening as though he understood every word. She had named him Nyx after the goddess of the night. He was her only company, her only comfort. Evening fell and the sky grew heavy with clouds. Rain began to tap against the window. Elara curled up on the old armchair. Nyx perched on her lap, purring softly. Outside, the village became quiet, muffled by the rain. She whispered to Nyx, "Do you ever feel lonely, too?" The cat blinked slowly, as if he understood her. Days were often empty, filled with chores and the sound of her own footsteps. But sometimes, when the wind blew through the trees or the rain danced on the roof, strange things happened. Shadows moved where no light should reach. Whispers echoed through the empty streets. And Nyx would vanish at odd hours only to reappear calm and poised, as if nothing had happened. One night, curiosity became too strong to ignore. The clock struck midnight. Elara saw Nyx disappear from the room. Heart pounding, she followed him through the wet streets, through the fog that curled like smoke around the trees. Her boots sank into soft mud and branches scratched at her arms. Still, she followed. Nyx led her to the forest just beyond the village, a place few dared to enter. The trees were tall, ancient, and twisted. The air smelled of damp earth and moss. Shadows danced along the trunks as though they were alive. She felt a strange pull, like something was calling her name. Suddenly the black cat stopped. The wind grew colder. The rain ceased, and in the silence Elara felt a presence. Nyx crouched low, his fur bristling. Then, with a shimmer of silver light, he changed. Elara stumbled back, her hand over her mouth. Where Nyx had been, now stood a man. Tall, pale, and hauntingly beautiful. His hair was as dark as the midnight sky, his eyes a shade of green that seemed to pierce through her soul. His clothes were old-fashioned, elegant, and touched by shadows that seemed to move on their own. "Elara," he said, his voice smooth and low, "do not be afraid. I am the one you know as Nyx." Elara's heart raced. You're a man?" He smiled faintly, a sad, tired smile. "Yes, I am Lucian. I have watched over you for many years. You and I are connected." Her mind struggled to keep up. "What? Connected? How? Why?" Lucian took a step closer, his presence both frightening and magnetic. "Long ago, a curse was cast upon me. I was bound to take the form of a cat. For centuries, I could move only as I wished when humans were asleep. But now the time is near for the bond to be fulfilled. You, Elara, may hold the key to my freedom." Elara felt her knees weaken. A curse? On a cat? "Not just a cat," he said, bowing his head. "A guardian, waiting. I am older than your village, older than your ancestors. I have known loneliness, despair. I have walked through centuries of shadow. But in you, I feel something new. A chance to change, but it is dangerous. My darkness is yours to meet, should you choose to stay." The forest seemed to hold its breath. The shadows twisted, like black ribbons curling around the trunks. Elara wanted to run. Her rational mind screamed that she should flee, that this was impossible, yet she could not tear her eyes away from him. His presence was mesmerizing, like standing at the edge of a cliff and feeling both fear and wonder at the height. I don't understand," she whispered. "Why me?" Lucian reached out a hand. His fingers were cool, pale, and yet not lifeless. "Because you see me, truly see me. Most humans would only see a monster. But you are not afraid to be alone. You are familiar with shadows. That is why I have followed you. Always. That is why I was Nyx. That is why tonight I must reveal myself. Elora hesitated. Something stirred within her, a mix of fear and longing. She could feel it in her chest, a strange fluttering she had never felt before. Loneliness and curiosity intertwined until she stepped closer. But then, a sound, a rustling behind the trees. The air shifted. Lucian's eyes darkened. We are not alone. From the mist, a figure emerged. Cloaked in black, taller than any human should be, with eyes like cold fire. The figure moved with unnatural grace. A rival, Lucian said, bound by darkness. He has come for me, Lucian murmured. His voice was both warning and plea. Elora's heart thumped wildly. What does he want? Lucian's expression hardened. He wants to bind me forever, to trap me in shadow without end. If he succeeds, I will never return. You must leave now, Elora. Run. Hide. Elora's instincts rebelled. She could not believe him. Not now. Not after seeing what he truly was. I won't leave you, she said, her voice small but firm. Lucien looked at her, a mixture of sorrow and admiration in his eyes. Then be careful. The night is treacherous. Darkness will test you, and soon, midnight will decide everything. Before she could ask more, the rival stepped closer. A whisper of movement, the crack of branches underfoot. Lucien's form shimmered, fading like smoke, leaving only Nyx in his place, a cat, staring at her with solemn green eyes. Elora fell to her knees in the mud, rain dripping down her face. She reached out for him, but he was gone. Only the echo of his voice remained in the forest, mingling with the rustle of leaves. Midnight will decide everything. Shivering, soaked and trembling, Elora realized that her life had changed forever. She was no longer just a lonely girl with a black cat. She had glimpsed a world of shadows, curses, and centuries-old magic. A world she could not ignore. And as she trudged back toward the village, her mind could not stop replaying his green eyes, the way he had looked at her, as if she were the only soul that mattered. Nyx padded beside her, silent, his fur wet but sleek. He had been guarding her, but now the true guardian had been revealed. The night seemed alive, as if the forest itself was watching her. Somewhere, hidden in the darkness, the rival waited, and in the deepest part of her heart, Elora knew that tomorrow she would follow him again. Into the shadows, into the unknown, into the midnight that would decide everything. Elora could not sleep. Even as dawn crept through the fogged windows of her small house, her thoughts were with Lucian. Nyx, calm and unbothered, slept beside her, yet she knew he was more than just a cat. He had shown her a world she had never imagined, a world of shadows, magic, and danger. Her hand shook as she fed him breakfast. The sun was pale that morning, struggling to pierce the heavy clouds. She tried to convince herself she had only dreamed it. Perhaps it had been a strange trick of the mind, the long nights, or the loneliness pressing on her heart. Yet, deep down, she knew it was real. She had seen it with her own eyes. Nyx leapt onto the windowsill and hissed softly, ears flat. Something was moving outside. Elora's pulse quickened. The forest, she realized, was calling her again, and she could not resist. With a coat wrapped around her shoulders and Nyx at her side, she stepped into the misty morning. The village was quiet, empty streets echoing with her footsteps. She did not look back. The pull was too strong, and she trusted the cat to lead her safely. Nyx guided her to an old well behind the tallest trees in the forest. The well's stones were slick with moss, and the air smelled of earth and decay. At its edge the cat stopped. His body shimmered as he transformed. This time there was no hesitation. Before her eyes Nyx became Lucian, tall and elegant, pale and silent.
Elora, he said, bowing slightly. You came.
I had to.
she whispered. I cannot stop thinking about last night.
About you. Lucian's green eyes softened, but a shadow flickered across them. It is dangerous for you to come here. The world you see is only the surface. Below, there are rules you cannot imagine. Elara glanced around nervously. Rules? Like the curse? Yes, Lucian said, his voice low, smooth as midnight. The curse is older than the village, older than your ancestors. I was bound, forced into this shape to wait for someone like you. Someone who can see me truly, someone who does not fear the shadows. That someone is you. Elara's heart raced. Me! But I'm just me. I'm nobody. You are exactly why I am bound, Lucian said. You are pure in a way this world does not often allow. You are alone, and yet you are brave. That is why I have watched you. She shivered, not from the cold but from the intensity of his gaze. Watched me. All this time? Yes, he said. Every day, every night. I could not approach you. My existence is not safe. I cannot touch the world as you do. But I have always been near, always guarding. Elara's mind spun. She had never felt seen, truly seen by anyone. And now, a centuries-old creature, a vampire, had been silently watching over her. The loneliness that had always weighed on her heart felt strange, almost like it could be lifted. Why? Why a cat? She asked softly. Lucian's lips curved slightly. It was the only form I could take to remain near you without frightening you, and perhaps to let you grow used to the presence of someone who is not quite human. Nyx was always a guardian. Elara knelt to touch his hand, hesitating. His skin was pale and cool, but not cold. Alive, but otherworldly. I don't know what to say. Say nothing, he murmured. Just know that I am here, and I am yours to trust. Trust. The word felt foreign. Her life had been filled with suspicion, caution, and solitude. And yet, standing before Lucian, she felt something shift inside her. A flutter of hope, fear, and longing all at once. For hours they sat together in the misty forest. Lucian spoke of the vampire world, of the hierarchy and rules that governed their kind. He spoke of rivals, of alliances, of dangers that moved unseen among humans and supernatural beings alike. Elara listened, fascinated and afraid. She learned that vampires did not live in the sun, that they drew strength from shadows and moonlight, and that every action carried consequences far beyond what she could imagine. And yet, Lucian said, his eyes softening, there is hope. A bond can break a curse, if it is true and strong. But the bond must survive darkness, fear, and temptation. You, Elara, have the power to change my fate. But are you willing? Elara swallowed hard. I think I am. Lucian smiled faintly. Then the first step is to know me, truly. He led her deeper into the forest, to a hidden place beneath the roots of an ancient oak. The ground opened into a cavern lit by glowing crystals and mirrors that reflected shadows like living creatures. It was beautiful and frightening. Elara gasped. This is incredible, she whispered. It is my home, Lucian said. It is also a prison in some ways. Here I am safe from others but bound by magic and curse. And now you enter this place. Your heart will be tested. You will see my darkness, and perhaps your own. Elara nodded, heart pounding. She felt a strange pull toward him, toward the power and sadness in his eyes. Her fear battled her curiosity, but curiosity always won. They spent days in the cavern, though the hours felt like minutes. Lucian showed her the magical mirrors that could reveal secrets, shadows that whispered past events, and crystals that held memories of the centuries. Elara learned that she could sense emotions in the air, feel the echoes of sadness and longing. She did not understand how, but something in her was awakening, a small spark of magic that was connected to him. "Do you feel it?" Lucian asked one night as they watched the moonlight reflect off the crystals. "That pull inside you? That is the gift. You are part of this, more than you know. You are not just a witness." Elara's pulse quickened.
Part of this? But I'm human.
"I'm fragile." "Fragile?" Lucian said, tilting his head. "Humans often underestimate themselves. Your mind, your heart, your spirit, they are stronger than you realize. That is why you may be the one to save me. That is why you may survive the darkness that others cannot." Their hands brushed, and Elara felt a jolt, like electricity in her veins. She pulled back slightly, cheeks flushed. Lucian's gaze softened, but there was a tension, a warning, in his eyes. "The closer you grow, the more danger follows," he said. "The rival will not rest. He will come for you, for me, for what binds us." Elara nodded, determination rising. "I don't care. I want to understand. I want to help. I won't run away." Lucian studied her for a long moment. Then he bowed his head, almost reverently. "Then we begin. But know this, the path will not be easy. There will be fear, betrayal, and shadows that seek to consume. And yet, I am bound to you, as much as you are now bound to me." Days passed. Elara learned to navigate the forest under Lucian's guidance, sensing creatures she had never imagined, bats that whispered secrets, shadows that moved with thought, and the subtle pull of magic in the wind. Each lesson strengthened her, and each night her heart ached for him, for the sadness and beauty she saw in his eyes. One evening a chill ran through the cavern. A faint whisper carried through the trees outside. Lucian's head snapped toward the entrance. "They are close," he murmured. "The rival, he is near." Elara's heart raced. She had expected danger, but never this immediacy. Fear and adrenaline surged together. Lucian's form flickered as he prepared. His voice was soft but fierce. "You must stay behind me, Elara. He will try to trick you. He may show you illusions, tempt you with lies. Do not listen." Elara gripped his arm. "I won't leave you. You may not have a choice," he said. His gaze lingered on her, intense and unreadable. "Trust yourself. Trust me. And remember, our bond is stronger than fear, but only if you hold it close."
Outside, the forest grew still.
Then, a sudden gust of wind, a shadow darting through the trees, and the sound of laughter. Cold, cruel, unnatural.
Elara clutched Lucian's coat.
"What is he doing? He tests us," Lucian said. "And soon he will strike. Midnight is coming, and with it, everything changes." Elara's breath caught in her throat. She felt the thrill of fear and anticipation, the undeniable pull of a world she could no longer ignore. She realized, with both terror and hope, that her life had been empty until now. But with Lucian, with this bond, her loneliness had ended. And yet, the forest whispered its warning. Something dark, patient, and merciless watched from the shadows, waiting for the moment to strike. Elara squeezed his hand, silently vowing she would not run. Whatever came, she would face it. The forest was silent now, but the silence was heavier than the loudest storm. Elara's heart thumped in her chest as she followed Lucian deeper into the labyrinth of trees. Every shadow seemed alive, every rustle a warning. She had felt the rival's presence before, but tonight it was closer. The air itself seemed charged with menace. Lucian walked beside her, tall and graceful, his green eyes scanning the darkness. His voice, though calm, held tension. "He watches us. He knows the bond grows stronger with every step you take toward me. He will try to trick you. He will try to turn your heart against me." Elara tightened her grip on his coat. I trust you," she said, though a flicker of doubt still danced in her mind. She had never faced anything like this before. The loneliness she had lived with for so long had taught her caution. But standing beside him, she felt something she had never known: courage, fueled by love and curiosity. Lucien's eyes softened briefly, but the moment passed. Trust is not enough. You must be prepared for deceit. He will tempt you with lies, illusions that feel real, and sometimes it may be impossible to know truth from falsehood. The forest opened into a clearing, lit by the pale glow of moonlight that filtered through the trees. The rival was there, waiting. He was taller than Lucien, broader, and his presence was suffocating, like the air itself had grown colder. His eyes were like coals burning in the shadows, fixed on them with cruel intent. "So," the rival said, his voice smooth and dangerous, "you are the little human who dares to bind herself to him. Do you know what you are touching? Do you know what fate you invite?" Alara's stomach twisted, but she stood her ground. "I do not fear fate," she said, her voice steady though her hands trembled, "and I will not leave him." Lucien's hand brushed against hers, a silent reassurance. "Stay close," he murmured. The rival's lips curved into a mocking smile. "How brave," he said. Then his form seemed to shimmer and twist, shifting into something terrifyingly beautiful. Shadows swirled around him, bending reality. Alara's heart jumped. The illusions were vivid. Visions of Lucien abandoning her, of her wandering alone, cold and frightened, as the rival extended a hand toward her. "Come to me," the rival whispered, voice silky and enticing. "He cannot save you. He will leave you."
Only I can protect you. Alara felt a pang of fear.
Her mind screamed, warning her. Yet the visions were so real. She could see herself in them, trembling and alone, and for a moment her confidence wavered. "Do not listen!" Lucien's voice rang in her mind, urgent and commanding. He stepped forward, a barrier of shadow and light surrounding them. "These are lies. None of it is true. Trust your heart, Alara." She closed her eyes, took a deep breath, and reached for him. The illusions faltered, flickering like dying flames. When she opened her eyes, Lucien's hand was in hers, steady and warm. "You are stronger than you know," he said softly. "And stronger than he believes," the rival hissed, frustration vibrating in the air. With a swift motion, he vanished into the shadows, leaving only a chilling laugh echoing through the clearing. Alara shivered, but relief washed over her.
He's gone? She asked.
"For now," Lucien said. His eyes were dark, thoughtful. "But this is only the beginning. He will return, and he will not rest until he tests every part of your bond." They continued through the forest, moving toward an ancient ruin that Lucien had mentioned. It was a castle long abandoned by humans, its towers crumbling, its halls filled with shadows that seemed almost alive. The place smelled of earth and history, of old magic that had not faded. "This is where he will come for us next," Lucien said, his voice low. "We must be ready." Alara followed him into the ruins. The walls were cold and damp, and the air was thick with the memory of past battles. Shadows flickered in the corners, and the silence pressed in on them like a living thing. Lucien paused in the center of a large hall, his eyes scanning the darkness. "This place holds power," he said. "The rival can manipulate it to create fear, illusions, and traps. You must trust yourself, and you must trust me." Alara nodded, determination burning in her chest.
"I will," she said.
"I won't let him control me. I won't let him take you." Lucien stepped closer, his presence overwhelming, a mix of danger and comfort. "Good," he said softly. "Your courage will be tested tonight. And I fear the trial may not be easy." Night deepened, and the air grew colder. Alara felt her pulse in her ears. Then, a sudden movement, shadows twisting unnaturally, forming shapes that seemed to reach for them. The rival had returned, and this time he was stronger. "You think you can protect her?" the rival hissed, stepping from the shadows. His form shimmered dark and terrifying, and his eyes burned like coals. She is fragile. She will break. Lucian moved in front of Alara, a shield of shadow surrounding them. No, he said. She is stronger than you imagine. She is mine to protect. The rival laughed, a sound that made the wall shiver. Then, with a sudden motion, he lunged toward them. Shadows lashed out, twisting around Alara. She screamed, trying to pull free, but the darkness was heavy and strong. Lucian's voice cut through the chaos. Focus, Alara. You are stronger than this. Something inside her stirred. A warmth, a light, a power she did not know she had. She reached out with her mind, willing the shadows to break. The darkness faltered, weakening under her intent. Lucian's eyes widened in surprise. You can do this, he said, awe in his voice. You are part of this, part of the bond. Believe in it. Alara took a deep breath, feeling her fear turn into determination. Slowly, the shadows unraveled, releasing her. The rival stumbled back, anger flashing in his eyes. Impressive, he hissed. But this is not over. Lucian stepped forward, gripping her hand. It is never over until we choose to fight, he said. His voice was calm, yet filled with power. And we fight together. Alara looked at him, feeling the bond between them strengthen. The fear and doubt she had carried for so long were replaced by trust, courage, and something more. A growing love, deep and undeniable, even in the face of danger. But just as the tension eased, a new danger emerged. From the shadows, a whisper curled around them, soft and poisonous. Do you think your bond can save you? The rival hissed. Midnight is not yet done. Soon, you will see what true darkness is. The forest outside the ruins seemed to shiver. The moonlight flickered, and a cold wind swept through the hall. Alara clutched Lucian's arm, feeling the warmth of his presence. She knew they could not leave. They had to face him, confront the rival, and survive the night together. Lucian's green eyes met hers, filled with a mixture of warning and affection. Stay close, he murmured. Whatever comes, we face it together. But the choice may not be yours alone. Alara nodded, gripping his hand tighter.
I'm ready, she said. I will not run.
Not now, not ever. The rival's shadow twisted again, forming a figure that was larger, more menacing than before. The ground beneath them seemed to tremble, the air thick with the scent of ancient magic and threat. Alara, Lucian said softly, his voice trembling with both fear and resolve. The trial begins now, and only the bond between us can save us.
The rival moved closer, his eyes burning with cruelty and power.
Shadows reached for them, twisting like living things, and the moonlight dimmed. Alara felt the bond between her and Lucian pulse like a heartbeat. It was a lifeline, a connection stronger than fear, stronger than the shadows themselves. And yet she realized the trial would not just test their strength. It would test their trust, their hearts, and the depth of the bond they had forged in darkness and longing. The ruins of the ancient castle trembled under the weight of shadows. Alara's hands were clenched around Lucian's, her knuckles white. Around them the rival's darkness twisted and writhed, feeding on fear and doubt, as if the very air was alive with menace. Stay close, Lucian whispered, his green eyes blazing with determination. The shadows will try to separate us.
They will try to turn your mind against me. Trust the bond, Alara.
Trust yourself. Alara nodded, her heart pounding. Every fiber of her being screamed to flee, but she would not. She had followed him through fear, through uncertainty, and now she would not leave him. Not when the fate of the curse, and perhaps even their lives, hung in the balance. The rival stepped forward, his tall figure coiling like a serpent in the pale moonlight that filtered through the broken walls. You dare challenge me? He hissed, voice sharp as ice. You are nothing but a fragile human, and he is mine to destroy. Lucian's expression hardened. You will not touch her, he said. She is stronger than you imagine, and together, we are stronger than your darkness. Alara felt a surge of warmth in her chest, a flicker of light that had never been there before. It was subtle, almost imperceptible, yet undeniable. She realized it was her own power awakening, the bond, the magic, the courage that had grown inside her over weeks of fear, longing, and trust. The rival's eyes narrowed. "You cannot escape me. You cannot escape fate." Elara stepped forward, standing beside Lucien. "Fate is what we make it," she said, her voice steady, "and we choose our path." Lucian's hand brushed against hers, and together they reached toward the shadows that twisted like living snakes around them. The rival lunged, but the bond between them glowed suddenly. A pulse of silver light, brighter than the moon, that pushed back the darkness. The shadows hissed, retreating as if burned by the strength of their connection. You are stronger than I imagined," the rival said, voice strained, stepping back. "But it is not over, not yet." Alara's chest heaved, but she did not falter. "It is over if we do not let fear control us," she said. Her voice carried a power she had never known, the power of trust, of courage, and of love that had grown in shadow and trial. Lucian's eyes softened, filled with awe and gratitude. "You are extraordinary, Alara," he whispered. "I never imagined that someone could change me, and yet here you are." The rival snarled, stepping forward again, summoning darkness that swirled faster, higher, trying to pull them apart. But Alara did not flinch. She closed her eyes, focusing on the bond, the heartbeat of trust, the pulse of connection, the knowledge that she and Lucian were stronger together than apart. "Lucian," she whispered, "we are not afraid." The moment stretched. The rival roared, a sound that shook the broken walls, and then lunged. Shadows surged, clawing at them, but the bond between Alara and Lucian shone brighter, a shield of silver light. The rival shrieked as the light pierced the darkness, unraveling the centuries-old magic that had bound Lucian and haunted him for so long. Lucian moved beside her, every motion graceful, deliberate, and protective. "You have done this," he said, awe in his voice. "Your courage, your heart, it breaks the curse." Elara opened her eyes. The rival's shadow wavered, twisted, and then collapsed inward like a storm dissipating. The darkness evaporated, leaving the ruins silent but for the wind through broken towers. The rival, defeated, vanished into the night, his eyes still burning with hatred. But his power had been broken, and the bond between Alara and Lucien remained. Lucien turned to her, his expression softening into something warmer than she had ever seen. Relief, admiration, and love. "You have saved me, Alara," he said. "Not just from him, from myself, from the curse, from the shadows I could not escape." Elara felt her heart swell, a mixture of exhaustion, triumph, and awe. "We saved each other," she said, her voice trembling. "I never thought I could do this." "But I had you. And now I believe in us." Lucian stepped closer, taking her hands in his. "You believed in me when no one else could," he said. "You were the light I never dared hope for." The ruins glimmered as the first rays of dawn touched the stones. The darkness that had plagued the forest, the shadows that had haunted their nights, seemed to bow and fade, leaving only silver light and the soft whisper of wind. Alara looked around at the castle, the forest, the empty streets beyond. For the first time in her life, she felt a sense of peace. The loneliness, the fear, the doubts, all of them had been transformed into courage, love, and strength. Nyx, once a cat and now a silent witness, padded forward, circling their feet. His green eyes gleamed as if acknowledging the victory. He leapt onto Lucian's shoulder, purring softly, and for a moment the world felt still, beautiful, and safe. Lucian brushed a strand of hair from her face. "The curse is broken, Alara. The shadows cannot claim me anymore. And I am free, because you chose to trust, to fight, to love." Alara's hands trembled in his. "I never imagined that one day I would stand here, not alone, not afraid, that I would have someone like you by my side." Lucian smiled, a faint, wistful curve of lips that spoke of centuries of longing, and now, finally, hope. You are not just by my side, Elara. You are my bond, my partner, my heart, and together we are stronger than any darkness. The wind rustled through the ruins, carrying with it the whispers of the past and the promise of the future. Shadows had been defeated, rivalries ended, and the curse shattered. And yet, the forest, the night, and the ancient magic had left a mark, a memory that this world was alive, watching and waiting. Elara looked up at Lucian, her green eyes meeting his brighter, steadier gaze. "What now?" she asked softly.
"Now," he said, "we live."
"We heal. We discover what life can be, together. And perhaps we prepare for whatever else may come." "Darkness will always exist, but so will light," Elara nodded. "Together," Lucian's hand found hers again, warm and steady. "Together!" he echoed. They walked from the ruins into the forest, the first rays of sunlight breaking through the mist. The world was quiet, peaceful, yet alive with possibilities. And as they moved forward side by side, Elara felt something she had never known. Hope. Hope that she was no longer alone. Hope that love could conquer fear. Hope that even in darkness, there could always be light. As they emerged from the trees, Nyx bounded ahead, no longer just a guardian, but a companion. A symbol of the bond they had forged in shadows and magic. The wind carried the faint echo of the rivals' threat, distant and powerless, swallowed by the strength of their courage and connection. Lucian looked at Elara, his eyes reflecting the rising sun. "Midnight brought us together," he whispered. "But eternity will test us still." Elara smiled, her hand tightening around his. "Then let us face it," she said, "together." The shadows had passed. The curse had been broken, and the girl who had known only loneliness, who had spoken only to a black cat, had found love, strength, and a world of possibilities she had never dreamed possible. Together they walked toward the horizon, where light and shadow danced in harmony, a world waiting for them to write their story, hand in hand.